The concept of Indo-Pacific Ocean would help Bangladesh to improve its connectivity.
Bangladesh occupies a strategic location at the apex of the Bay of Bengal. It has inherited a historical legacy from ancient times as fulcrum of trade between distant continents and regions, west and east.
When the idea was put into the context of Bay of Bengal, the bay can offer more than what the triangle can offer. There are sporadic traces of connectivity in the region for sure. If we consider those as just dots, it is not difficult to connect these dots. What we need and what we only need is a set of philosophy, a logical order, and a true future relevance while connecting the dots.
The Bay of Bengal occupies a central position in relation to global economic flows. Due to economic significance of this region, countries increasingly share a common interest in keeping the sea lanes open and safe. An effective information exchange network may be considered and agreed upon in the first case by all the member states to ensure freedom and safety of navigation and real-time sharing of information on search and rescue at sea, sharing of warning information about weather, cyclone or tsunami, fisheries infringements and other living resources, high seas robbery, piracy and other suspicious activity, including arms and drug smuggling. The concept of Indo-Pacific Ocean would help Bangladesh to improve its connectivity and investment climate, promote blue economy as well as strengthening measures against terrorism and other organized crimes in the maritime sphere.
For the economic development in Bangladesh, Japan promotes cooperation in particular in three areas: development of economic infrastructure, improvement of investment environment, and enhancement of connectivity. Japan has been developing the Bangladesh's first deep-sea port in Matabari. This project aims at making Matabari as a free and open regional hub. Once completed, Matabari will connect Bangladesh not only to South Asia as a whole, but also to Southeast Asia and even to East Asia, including Japan. Japan aims to develop a free and open Indo-Pacific region as international public goods through ensuring the rule-based international order and sharing values in order to bring stability, peace, and prosperity for every country in the region. Japan is spearheading an effort by taking the lead in the seventh pillar of IPOI, that is trade, connectivity, and maritime transport.
The Indo-Pacific Oceans Initiative, which Ambassador Ito mentioned, is aimed at furthering practical cooperation as an open, non-treaty-based global initiative. We are looking at upgrading roads, and Japan is looking at upgrading the bridges of the same roads, which would connect Bangladesh with northeastern India or Bangladesh with Bengal or Indian Bengal. So these are the kinds of opportunities where there is space for plug-and-play operations between not just India and Bangladesh, but also for other partners in the region. In particular, I want to highlight the role of the ADB, the World Bank, and JICA. With JICA's assistance, we now have a 20-kilometer bridge across the Brahmaputra between Dhubri in Assam and Fulbari in Meghalaya. Looking ahead, if we could come up with an initiative to try and create a regional transport and connectivity commission to simplify the movement of goods, people, energy products.
BIMSTECs have finalized a master plan for transport connectivity with a vision to promote seamless connectivity between and across BIMSTEC countries through the use of different transport modes. The implementation of the master plan will require sincere commitment from the member states and international development partners like ADB, World Bank, and JICA.
Bangladesh has begun developing a network of highways, waterways, and ports, leveraging riverine geography and coastline to ensure inter-regional transport efficiencies and provide the benefit of port connectivity to landlocked neighbors, Bhutan, Nepal, India's northeast region.
The potential for increased intra-region trade in South Asia should be actively sought with economic diversification in each country. For seamless trade, facilitation measures should be taken aligned to international standards. It is like envisioning South Asia as a network of the region, each playing a different role in the value chain and creating a win-win outcome for each other, leading to shared prosperity. In the course of reshaping the supply chains, human capital needs to be upgraded and strengthened. Skills, technical and vocational education and training and higher education needs to be provided.
Relationship with Japan, Bangladesh was always keen to have a better partnership with Japan and JICA. And Big B is one of them. The initiative of Big B is not only limited on this gateway, which I told Dhaka, Chittagong, then Cox's Bazar, but on the left side, we had in Dhaka, near very Dhaka, that is the Arai economic zone, which is a Japanese initiative for having the development of our country.
I think the biggest challenge for the future of the Indo-Pacific is the maintenance of peace. One of the reasons that the Asia-Pacific became the growth center in the last quarter of the 20th century was because there was no interstate wars in Southeast Asia since the end of Sino-Vietnamese War of 1979. If the Indo-Pacific is to become a real dynamic center of the global economy, we need to preserve peace in the region. Hard infrastructure includes facilities to improve connectivity, ports, roads, railways, airports, and infrastructure for communication. The typical examples are MIDI and Big B.
What is important for Bangladesh is that how we manage the two regional superpowers economically and also militarily in terms of our own political or diplomacy, economic diplomacy, and so forth. We want to be left alone. We want to get the benefit, provide the support to the regional development. We want to remain at peace with all of our big neighbors, Japan, in the regional powers, Japan, China, India, and maybe Indonesia is also an emerging power in the future with them, along with the Western powers. We want to be at peace and enmity with none. We have to maintain that neutrality and keep focusing on Bangladesh's development and its contribution to the regional development and also peace to the extent we can.
The Japan International Cooperation Agency JICA has been supporting the initiative through different channels. Currently, relevant ministries, agencies are preparing their respective sector development plans for Maheshkhali-Matarbari area, which all will be integrated into an integrated development plan IDP. BESA has prepared the sector development plan for Maheshkhali region. On the basis of general findings through a survey conducted by Nippon Koei, BESA has selected a few locations for establishment of SEZs in Maheshkhali. Maheshkhali has all the geographical features in our favor to work as a junction between the landlocked countries awaiting Bangladesh and the Southeast Asian countries.
For the Matarbari port, we have taken the environmental clearance certificate from Environment Department with many conditions, and there is an environment management plan. And apart from that, there is an environmental issues monitoring committee, and the consultant team and the third party are also involved over there. So they are monitoring the environmental issues, especially the sound and the air quality and the water quality, and especially the species around the Matarbari area.
we will have to be competitive. We will have to translate our competitive advantages into competitive advantage. But where are the elements and opportunities of cost reduction? And here I see that the sub-regional cooperation, particularly transport connectivity, can be a major driver of that cost reduction when we will have to pay duties and enter into the international market.
Many of the policies in South Asia are made in a very ambiguous sort of a discussion where really the private sector is not involved in representing the problems, more than the problems, the opportunities, not just the opportunities, but the solutions that we as private sector could come forward.
I can only reiterate the importance of the larger regional cooperation in terms of BIMSTEC, SAARC, and also at sub-regional level. I think initiatives like this will go a long way. For Bhutan, as a small landlocked country, of course, we have always been emphasizing on the importance of such multilateral or regional cooperation and such platforms. And there is tremendous interest and political will to be part of these initiatives and to benefit and contribute to such initiatives.
We have to connect the connectivities. There is a lot of progress being made in connecting. There are lots of projects underway. Here, I think the role of civil society, the chambers, individual votaries, what we at Asian Confluence call the third space, the first two being government and big industry. The third space needs to be empowered, needs to be motivated to take up a sort of champion this connectivity which is on its way.
In terms of connectivity, but in a different form based on the subsistence agriculture of the people of the region. And 90% of the farmers are subsistence farmers. But somewhere in all this picture, that's 60 to 70% of the population that lives off the land is missed out. I think while our focus today rightly is on Bangladesh, we should not forget that, there are special economic zones coming up in Myanmar, like Tilawa and Dawei. And they could be linked along with Bangladesh to the eastern coast of India, all the way from Chennai, Krishnapatnam, Vishakhapatnam to Paradeep, and eventually up to Kolkata. So we would have a kind of connectivity network linked to the natural and local economies of the region, radiating out from the northeast by land and from the eastern coast in Bangladesh towards Myanmar and beyond, in a way bringing together the BBIN and BIMSTEC, Act East and the Indo-Pacific.
I'd like to say that when other regions and sub-regions of the world have been moving very fast in terms of strengthening connectivity and integration, we should not remain mere spectators. The challenges of further improving and bolstering connectivity among BBIN are not insurmountable.
We ourselves became hostage to what I described as the post-colonial New Westphalian order that we created, where you close up, you protect what you have, you don't allow entry, and you are not allowed entry. That is what we have to come out of. There was a natural free flow among us of peoples, cultures, ideas, goods, services before all this happened.
But what is very important to keep in mind is that the major barrier to connectivity is not physical infrastructure. Physical infrastructure, except for some small gaps which are being closed, is there. What is missing is the important aspect of softer connectivity, trade facilitation, transport facilitation, the electronic tracking systems, so that containers can pass through the borders without any disruption, any problems at the borders.
Japan is supporting this event, who really promoted regional connectivity after the war, after the Second World War, in Southeast Asia and in China. Japan has become the champion of quality infrastructure and is today focused on South Asia. So I think all of us in the region must necessarily to take advantage of that.
From the Japanese perspective, the first is to maintain the current sea lanes of communication that Japan enjoys to have. This is a traditional economic security issues, but we still rely about 90% of crude oil import from the Middle East. So slow maintenance is very important still now. The second is need for the economic opportunities abroad. As you know, the Japanese economy has been stagnant over the last 20 years. We've been experiencing 1% economic growth, and we really need to incorporate the economic power that other regions have, such as Southeast Asia, South Asia, and East Africa. So Japan is really trying to engage in the market opportunities and so forth. The third is relatively new, is the need for the strategic engagement and desperate need for Japan to engage better in the regional affairs so that to make sure that our national interest to be safeguarded.
The FTA negotiation, which has been halted for years in the BIMSTEC, that has to be finalized, and efforts should be made to go for comprehensive economic partnership agreement among the Bay of Bengal countries. We should keep in mind that the political commitment is not strongly exogenous. It's not something which can come from here or from sky. It is also dependent on certain factors like domestic politics, bilateral political relations between countries, the country's overall development strategy, and external factors beyond this region. But it is the political elite that finally decides. Unless clear messages and signals are there from the political elites, bureaucrats can hardly make any progress. The lack of effort for integration in the BIMSTEC region is not primarily an economic or bureaucratic problem. It's primarily a political economic problem.
Of course, Bangladesh considers itself to be the hub, the connector of South Asia and Southeast Asia. We are located at the eastern frontier of SAARC and at the western frontier of the ASEAN countries, and that makes us the natural gateway of these two countries. The initiatives cannot move ahead without the political will. Now, the political will in Bangladesh is very much there. We would like to invite our neighbors, our contiguous neighbors, as well as slightly distant neighbors, to move in the same pace that Bangladesh is working and to join us in this initiative, which we hope will eventually lead to a mutually beneficial economic and social development for all of us.
Both the Japanese government and Japanese ambassador in Bangladesh has played a very prominent role in the development taking place in the south of Bengal, south of Chittagong, in the maritime area, which is greatly contributing to the rapid development and growth of Bangladesh, and it's advancing its ability to play a regional, sub-regional role and playing the role in the connectivity. To say that just as Bay of Bengal offers opportunity, it also offers us challenges. We need to be thinking in terms of its sustainability. We need to be thinking of all sorts of challenges that are being posed, environmental, pollution, and so forth. In other words, while we now recognize the importance of Bay of Bengal and possibilities that it gives us, we also should be mindful of the bay itself and its natural environment and its sustainability.